Hello, and welcome to Coffee with Benjamin. Here's to you. I'm going to talk about a couple of topics today. One of them is creating activities for the classroom and sharing them with other people in the company. The other topic is a different way to look at risk management when it comes specifically to vehicle types. It's a module that I created that we can use every class, and it will help things go more quickly. One of the things that I'm noticing about students is 15 minutes of attention is a pretty long attention span, and in order to meet them where they are, in order to engage the students, it makes sense to create subtopics within the larger categories that cater to this inability to pay attention for more than 10 minutes. So, to that end, we have a little something special for you today, and we'll go over that in a bit. Topic number 1, let's talk about activities. We all do them in class. I'd like to create a way to share them amongst people in the company. Also, it makes sense that we can engage the students in different ways. Now that some of us are in class again and some of us are online, it'd be good if we could use the same activities, just modify them depending upon the classroom setting. So let's talk about how to share that first. Right here, we have the template that's going to be attached to this email. The idea of this is so you can create basically just a structure, and another teacher can see this structure and then change what's in it. I'll show you another thing that, or one of the places that we're sharing this. I don't know if you've ever heard of the driving school. Maybe you have. If you go to resources and student resources, when you scroll down to the bottom here, I've already uploaded 3 of the different ones that I've done. Now, some of these are adapted. I know that some of you do versions of this in your classroom, but what I want to do is just kind of walk you through the creation of this template so you can share your ideas with other people. So let's start talking about the car parts activity. So same template you're going to share, or I'm going to share with you. Basically, this activity is all about car parts. It's one of the more boring, less engaging aspects of the curriculum. So this is the way that I've done it in a fresh make to hopefully work better. I would like to look at the curriculum, and I hope that you do too, as a living organism, something that changes over time. We certainly change as humans. The student body is changing given like the way they interact. For example, books. People read those. Those people are over 30 years old. I know this. I read books. Books are good. But a lot of people just consume what's going on in this thing, which is a different form of information, but yet it is not a book, and there's a difference. All right, so right here we're looking at the summary. So on the top of the activity, you label it. What's this one about? I'm going to say car parts. We also go for the projected class. So this is the best class to use this activity. Doesn't mean you have to use it in that class. It just means that it goes well with the curriculum as we currently have it set up. The objective, it's the objective for, in this case, it's understand what the parts are for, and then how much time this activity will actually take. In this, the students are doing some group work, and then they're coming back and talking to the others. They're sharing their information. We prattle on all the time. We get tuned out. When other students, like when their peers speak, they're more likely to listen, right? So that's what we're working for here. So, assigning groups to identify parts. You'll notice there's numbers beside each of these groups. If you were doing a Zoom class, when I automatically create the groups, the different, it's different groups, breakout rooms is what they're called, it automatically assigns numbers to those breakout rooms. I like to use these numbers and correlate them to the group. Then I don't have to remember that group 4 was brakes and all the accoutrement for brakes. I can just say group 4 and then look back at this and realize that's what's going on. I do the same thing when we talk about drugs and alcohol. I assign each group a particular drug to become an expert in, and then they can answer questions. And in that one, actually, I have them create a slideshow. In this one, I don't. In this one, I work as the MC. So this is how it goes. Group 1 gets radiator, Group 4 gets brakes, Group 6 gets infotainment system, Group 9 gets signals. Break the groups up so everybody, so all these systems can be covered, or just pick the ones that you think are the most important for that class period, given the amount of time you have. So, each group will answer a number of questions. They don't have to present these questions, they just have to be ready to answer these questions. These are the questions. What do the parts look like? What does it do? All these questions right here. Then, after the groups break up, when you come back into the major room, there's a presentation that you can create that's essentially blank. It's a blank slate, and it has a picture of the part on it. And when you put that picture up, you then ask the students these questions. So Group 1 is an expert in the cooling system, radiator, water pump, coolant hose. Questions like, what does it look like? This most important probably question is question 3. Does it require maintenance, and can you do it yourself? That's pretty important, right? So the whole point of this is just so it's another activity, and you can create these activities and share them with me, and I will share them company-wide. Please put your name on the activity, just like if you create a slideshow that you want to share with everybody. The idea is any other teacher that sees your information can absolutely use it. Anybody in the company can use it and modify it so it works for their best presentation style. The way I present is not the way Michael Hancher is going to present or the way Andrea up in Augusta is going to present. However, we know that we can reach the students given the way we do it, but let's share the skeleton, the structure that we create with other people in the company to make their jobs easier. Or to give them a little bit of chance or a little bit of reach, right? I mentioned to Phil this week, he said he was a little nervous about something that was upcoming, and I said, learning starts where comfort ends. And he called me Yoda, which was good, I guess, maybe, I don't know, right? That's true though, right? If we're not reaching, if we're not having a chance of failure, we can't achieve as good as we can if we don't have a chance for failure. If we continue to plod along, and our students will notice, we will be less engaging, we will be less dynamic, and that's not something that I am looking forward to. I'm sure it's going to happen, but then it's time for me to retire, right? So basically, that's the idea of these activity plans. Create them, use them, share them, please. What do you think? Huh? Let's see if it works. Okay, now onto the meat and potatoes of the whole thing. The module that I'd like to present to you is a way to look at personal vehicle risk. So either if you're driving the vehicle or that vehicle's on the road. The idea is this is open-ended. You can use whatever vehicles you want. And you can present them in different ways. Via Zoom, you can present them with a picture on the screen. You can also do this if you're in the classroom. Alternatively, you could use props, right? Other props are more exciting, right? We're going to talk about the different characteristics of each of these vehicles as they will see them on the road. The concept of this module came to me when I was thinking back in high school. We had to learn grammar, and that's lame. So the way that the English teacher, Mr. Conley of Wyndham, thank you, Mr. Conley, for this idea, did it was every day he'd put a single sentence on the board, and every day you'd have to correct that sentence, just that one single sentence. So at the beginning of English class, every day when you went in there, you knew that you were going to have to do this. This creates a pattern. People love patterns. They tend to follow them easily and without grumbling. So the idea of this concept is, at least I've placed it in the curriculum so far, after you come back from your first break, you do this vocab module. What does that look like? Let's get into it. So, Vocab stands for Vehicular Operational Characteristics and Behavior. I'm going to go over that again. Vehicular Operational Characteristics and Behavior. Does that really matter? No. The idea is to brand it and call it Vocab. What is it? I already told you. You're looking at the risk assessment of a certain car. What are we looking at? Let's check it out. First thing, the concept of a bogey. I've talked to you about most of this. Some of the older instructors maybe have a different way to look at it. This topic, this whole vocab thing, covers SIPTE. It covers the Smith system, mostly SIPTE. But it's an idea to how to look at things and how to evaluate them for the danger. What is a bogey? This you can see as a radar. When you can see the radar, you see an object, but you don't yet know if you can do damage to it or it can do damage to you. So the presentation of a bogey to the people in the classroom, the students, this presentation that I'm giving you right here, you will present on class 2. You're going to use different words, right? And obviously it's not going to be meta. You're not going to be presenting a presentation to present. You're just going to be telling them what's going on here. So the definition of a bogey is a vehicle or object that presents risk to yourself, or it's a vehicle or object that you could do damage to. Let's get into how that works, okay? So an individual bogey is an object you have to identify. This would be the I in SIPTE. When you look at this object, there is an area of effect around it. The idea of this is, I'll give you an example that I usually give in class. If you're using a chainsaw and you put it at your arm's length and you spin around in a circle, if everyone is outside of that circle, they cannot be cut by the chainsaw unless, or they can't be hurt by the chainsaw unless you go to cut a tree down, right? If you go to cut a tree down, right, you're cutting the bottom of the tree. What's your blood circle? What's your area of effect around that chainsaw now? It is the height of the tree, right? You cut that tree down, it goes, smashes somebody on top of the head, they get driven to the center of the earth like a nail, okay? What is the blood circle around that human with the chainsaw now? It's at least the height of the tree. Husqvarna, the safety manual, says that it's twice the height of the tree, right? Because there's a chance that the domino effect is going to happen and knock down another tree. Kind of valid, right? What other things have an area of effect? Well, right here, this little red circle, that's about nuclear warfare. You drop a little bitty bomb on top of something, the hypno center, that's all going to be destroyed. The further out you go, the less damage there is, and also the type of damage changes. That's reasonable, right? What also we have when we talk about area of effect is the number of potential bogeys in the area. If you were to run through a crowd and you hit your shoulder on one person and then drove your fist into another person's face, that would be different areas of effect. Like the area of effect around you would be the same, but there would be different values for the damage that you could create to different people. So this whole idea, the area of effect, is used in video games. So one of the ways to communicate this whole concept to students is to talk about this. RPGs, so role-playing games, often have like a magic potion that you just whip out there and it goes like that, and all the people in that area are affected by it. There's another concept, the splash effect. The splash effect is the distance around that object. That's more like this picture over here, where if you throw your magic boom boom potion, right, and it goes and it burns everybody, when you throw it, the very center of where it hits, it burns people the most, and as you move away from that area, it burns people less. Okay. How else is this used besides video games? How about real life? When you're using machinery, the damage it can do, the closer you are to a heavy moving thing, the more damage it can do. The further out, less damage. Think about especially concentrically spinning things, or an engine, right? You move an engine really, really fast and it blows up. If you're really close to it, it's pretty bad. If you're 25 feet away from it, you might catch a piece of shrapnel in the forehead. Still pretty bad, but not if you're hugging not as bad as you're hugging it, right? Caffeine. We already talked about how it works for logging. Explosives work. It's kind of self-explanatory, right? So those two concepts, blood circle and or bogey and area of effect, are intrinsically related to the rest of this concept. So the rest of these concepts we're going to present. What else matters? Size and weight, right? If something weighs more, it has more mass, it has more momentum. A tractor-trailer truck hits a small car, it's going to do more damage than a small car hitting a tractor-trailer truck. Makes sense? Does anybody know this? Has everybody figured out how much the cucumber weighs? Hang on till the end, we'll talk about it. So, this is just a nice little graphic, right? And of course, you're going to use different words than I'm using to present this. This discus is pretty heavy. She's getting it ripping. If you get hit that hit in the face, it's not going to be great. And then size and weight, right? Different things. Obviously, if you get hit by, I think these are prehistoric animals, so the prehistoric rhinoceros compared to the size of the man, it's going to change things. The other thing about the characteristics of a vehicle, right? Because it is vocab, right? Vehicular operation, characteristics, and behavior. The ability for the thing to change speed. What creates the ability to change speed? How about different brake sizes? Is that going to change something? Yep. How about horsepower? Is that going to change something? Certainly. Look how gorgeous that engine is. I don't know if that's a Bentley or what, but it's like you could eat on that. That'd be amazing. I mean, probably gross, but like amazing. And then what else changes it? The characteristics of your suspension. Is it good or not? And then your tire depth, right? Now keep in mind, you're going to be talking about tire depth at a different time. This is just a different angle to hit tire depth with, right? We're not going deep on this like your tread should be if you're going into winter, right? We're just talking about this concept and how it relates to the whole. Another one, stability. Pretty simple picture here, right? Center of mass or center of gravity, and how it's related. We have an unstable and a stable vehicle. This makes sense, right? The unstable vehicle would be your Jeep Wrangler, which is currently probably the most popular thing for teenagers of both to be using. We also have the stability control sticker, right? Or traction control sticker. This is one of the things that creates stability. Look up the Moose test. Like check on, what's that thing called? Oh yeah, the internet. Go to YouTube and look up the Moose test. You'll see all sorts of really cool videos that'll talk to you about this specific thing. And then obviously, one of the purposes of this whole presentation is to be able to ascertain if it matters, right? Is this vehicle more or less stable than, I don't know, what else you got? A car that's not doing this with the amount of hay, right? The ability to do damage to something or vice versa. I once owned, this by the way, this Lime company is a scooter that you can rent. When they first came out in New York City, there was a problem. It was deaths. People would be intoxicated. They would be able to just get on their phone and then jump on this thing, and 2 o'clock in the morning they'd be tearing down the middle of New York City until they hit a pole. That was a problem. So now they've since set this up so you have to take a picture of yourself in the helmet before you can get on the ride, and you also have just to watch a 20-minute safety presentation. And you're like, how can that help people? Because they don't impulse buy at 2 o'clock in the morning when they're hammered. And that causes less deaths, just straight up. So which one of these vehicles, could do more damage, that little moped or this thing? Or this? This is another option. Which one of these is more dangerous and violent? I'm going to go with this last one as being probably the most violent. Now the other thing we have is habitat and behavior, which isn't usually the way we speak about cars. And I kind of like this because it gives you, again, a different lens to look at vehicles. This is a three-toed sloth. They're so slow that they grow like moss grows on them. The reason why they're green is because of a type of moss. But we're talking about driver's ed here, not three-toed sloths. What's the expected behavior and habitat of a tractor? How about a dude on a skateboard? How about this situation? Have any of you ever encountered one of these? How do people in this car drive? Are they expected to be good at it? Right? What else? This bro, right? He's got his leathers on. He's rocking the party. He's got like a little angry shark face on his motorcycle. How is he going to react? Little kid on a razor scooter. Pre-ankle slam, right? He's getting good at it. Can we expect this person to jump out in front of us in traffic? This guy, the Sturgill Simpson of your world. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Sturgill Simpson. If you like old country that's new again, check him out. One of his album covers is him like on a riding lawnmower, being the best he can be. But is this guy going to come out on the road in front of you? Yes, he is. Yes, you can. He has to make perfect lines in his yard. You guys have seen this, right? You know this. And then I think this is the second to last one. We have the people in blue, the boys in blue, the girls in blue. How are they going to react? What are they going to do? Are they going to use their lights? Are they going to mess with you? What's happening there? Let's know. Then we have the wee-woos, right? Alternatively, this thing. And we talk about, of course, in class, what you do if you encounter one of these with lights and sirens. So again, this is the presentation to talk to the students about what to expect when they do the vocab, right? We're not going to talk about all of the cars in this presentation because that's up to you in the future. These vocab things would take, the module should take 5 to 10 minutes. You do it right after class comes back. Is this person going to change the expected characteristics and behavior? This person looks a little angry. Might that change how that person's going to behave when they're driving a car? Yeah, it's probably got it, right? And this is just a recap of the whole thing. What a bogey is, it's an object that can do damage to you, you can do damage to it. And then the area of effect, that would be the blood circle around it. And of course, the idea of this is you're presenting the idea that every single time students from this presentation forward do the vocab module, they'll explore, say, 2 or 3 different vehicles and each class, and then in total they'll know a lot of the vehicles that are around them on the road. Make sense? But wait, Ben, I don't get it. I'm confused. Can you help? How are we supposed to do this? Man, if somebody only created an activity log about this. Look at that. There it is. All right, so what's the idea here? So I'm going to make this a little bigger. This is a activity that you can use every day. This is how it works, right? What's the subject? Risk management. What's the topic? Vehicle, operational characteristics and behavior. Yeah! Vocab! Projected classes are between classes 2 and 9. You could use this in class 10 if you will. The time allotment is about 10 minutes. You schedule every class at the return of your first break. Just an idea, but this is a really good idea, right? As soon as people come back from the break, you get them all back on topic talking about the same thing, okay? Implementation. Have students learned everything they needed to know about this? Do you need to go over the vocab presentation? Now, don't put the vocab presentation back up, but just pick the 3 smartest kids in your class and ask them about it, right? They'll talk about it. That'll get you back rolling. Procedure. Present a vehicle. So what I've said here is a picture, a video clip, a model, or a drawing. You can have a student draw, right? You could use the whiteboard or this board to talk about a vehicle. You could use a little toy to talk about a vehicle. In fact, let's use this right now to talk about how this works in class. So you ask students the questions below. How much does this weigh? How big is it? How big? It's pretty small, doesn't weigh very much. So those things aren't really a concern. Speed and acceleration. Is this thing able to accelerate quickly? No. Can it decelerate quickly? Not really. No, this isn't a motorcycle. This isn't a Dodge Hellcat. This is just a mail truck. Agility, contact, and tire size. Doesn't really matter. It's going pretty slow. It's not going to have to like BMW itself out of the way. And using the contact patches, like I very, very rarely seen this thing screech to a stop in order to avoid an accident. Stability, not so great actually. If this thing's going fast, I would say it's probably kind of dangerous. Its ability to do damage to you or you to it. You could smash into it, it could smash into you. Again, it's not very heavy, it's not moving very fast, so there's not a whole lot of risk for you in that situation. Now, this last part is when it becomes important. Expected behavior and habitat. Where you're going to see this thing, because this is not a rural mail Jeep, you're going to see it probably in the city. What's its expected behavior? The flashers are going to be on, and it's going to go to the side of the road, and then it's going to come back out. Then it's going to go to the side of the road, and it's going to come back out. It's going to be going 15 miles an hour slower than traffic on average. Most likely, this is going to be the only vehicle your child or the student in the car is going to pass when they're in driver's ed. Why? Because in order to pass somebody, you have to be going, they have to be going pretty much 15 miles an hour slower than the speed limit. Because as you all know, you can't speed to pass, right? So in this little thing, obviously, as opposed to me answering all these questions, you'd be asking the students these questions. Do 3 of these in a class. You know, you have this, you have a picture of a motorcycle, and actually on the bottom of this little thing, I have motorcycles can be different, right? You could have this, which could essentially count as a motorcycle. You have this, which I would say would offer different risk profiles, right? We have trucks too. Does the splashy liquid in this thing make a difference? Yep, totally, right? How about this? guy with a giant boat. That boat's pretty huge. Is that going to affect how this car goes down the road? Is that going to affect the visibility of this vehicle? Is it going to affect its expected characteristics, his ability to drive or her ability to drive? Yes. So that's the point of the vocab, and I will share this with you on this email. Again, this is just a method to teach people in a different way. So that's what the vocab's all about.